Hello folks, I hope you're doing well. We are here at the plot. It is Sunday morning, my favourite time to be here. Nice and early because nobody else is here yet. So I've got the whole place to myself. So I've got a special job that I'm doing today, and that is asparagus. So I've been thinking about this for a while, but never really had time. And I must admit, I think doing all the jobs that I did sort of over the winter, sort of forcing myself up here, especially early sort of January, February, getting things sorted and everything ready for spring, is maybe it's just given me enough time to get a job like this done. And what I'm going to do, and you can see this big bed over here that's covered, this has been covered ever since the potatoes got lifted out of it last year, as around about September, October-y sort of time. And I think what I'm going to do is use part of this bed, so similar to, this was very similar behind me there, and for those of you who've watched along with some of the videos, you'll know that we've done potatoes in this bed here, and this top end here has got the parsnip seeds in it for the parsnip challenge, so that's in that bed. So I'm probably going to do something very similar with this. I'll take probably around about 3/4, I think, of this bed to use for the asparagus. And then the quarter that's left, I think I'm going to put onions in there. When the onions and seed are ready, we'll use the bottom half of this bed to put that in. Anyway, so what I need to do is build a path down the middle of it. Whether it lines up with this one or not, we'll see once I've spaced out the asparagus. Speaking of the asparagus, here it is. This is how it comes. I've ordered crowns, so there's 10 crowns in here. And if I can open the back, because it's got a pretty tight knot in it, let me see if I can find my little knife. Here we go. We'll open it up and show you. So you can generally buy asparagus crowns at 2 different times of the year. It is March and April, or right at the back end of the year, sort of October-y sort of time. You can grow asparagus from seed, but if you grow it from seed, it'll take you about 3 years before you have a crop, anything to harvest. You can get different years of crowns. You can get 1-year-old crowns and 2-year-old crowns. Obviously 2-year-old crowns, you put them in 1 year later, you'll get a crop. 1-year-old crowns, pop them in, 1 year later, you'll get a crop. But let me show you if it comes out. They're a little bit tangled. Let me just get one out here for you, and I'll scoot over closer to the camera. And this alien-like thing is how they look. And there's a special technique to planting them out with the roots and whatnot. And I'm gonna go through that now. So what I need to do first of all, separate this bed a little bit. Then I need to dig 3 trenches, and then I'll take you through what I'm gonna do. So I'll be back with you in a jiffy once I've dug the trenches, because ain't nobody needs to see me digging 3 trenches. So I'll be back with you in a short while. And I'm back, and hopefully you can see from where the camera is now. I've adjusted the angle around a little bit, so hopefully you can see this a little bit better. So this is the trench we've dug. It's basically, you know, a spade's width wide and a spade's width depth, and inside we've done something pretty specific. So where I've dug out the trench, I've then put a lining of organic matter all the way along the bottom. In this case, I've used compost. If you don't have compost, you can use well-rotted manure. Both will do the job, but get a good few inches in the bottom of the trench, a nice lining of that. And then on top of that, you can see here, or hopefully you can see here, I've used some of the soil that I've dug out to make little mounds, little sort of hills, little pyramids, call them what you want. And the reason for that is when I put these asparagus crowns in, all these sort of straggly alien-like roots that are all a little bit sort of tangled up at the moment, we want them all nicely spread out and not sort of clumped up. And the way to achieve that is to put them, I should be a hairdresser, shouldn't I? I don't have much hair, but I should be a hairdresser doing this, is to put it on top of the mound. And that way you get the centre of the crown in the middle, and you can spread the rest of the roots all the way around and about it. So I've done one of them there. So what I'll do is I'll finish off, and I'm going to put 4 here. So I've got an awkward number. I've got 10 crowns. So there's going to be 2 rows of 3 and 1 row of 4. So this, bear in mind, this is the row of 4. So these are probably going to be a tiny little bit more squashed in than what the other rows are. So what I'll do is I'll finish this off. We'll fill this in. I'll dig another trench, but I'll show you one of the ones with 3 in, about how this should be spaced and not how I've squashed them in. So I'll get that done, and then I'll bring the camera over off the tripod, and we'll have a closer look at how it's all looking at the end there. So back with you in just a jiffy. Right, so that's the second trench done. Now let me bring you in a little bit closer to to see what's been done here. Ignore there's one root that's poking up there. I'll have to fix that. So you can see the trench all the way along here. And we've done 3 mound. We've dug the trench exactly the same as the other one, lined it with compost along the bottom, built a little mound, put the crown on top, and then I've just put some of the earth on top of the crown there, just to keep it in place for when I come to pull all the earth from over here to fill this sort of trench system back in. And that's all there is really to it for the asparagus. Two other things to mention actually. One is weeds. Asparagus is quite a greedy plant, and it doesn't like to share its bed with anything. So I'll just show you this bed here again, and it was covered in that black weed suppressant fabric at the end there all the way over the winter, so it wasn't in too bad a shape, but there was some thistles. Me and thistles have an eternal battle here, poking their way up. And again, I'll show you them there. You can see they're sort of pale green sort of colour, so they've been grown under the fabric, not really getting any light. And I've weeded that out, so asparagus doesn't like to share, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge for me all the way through this year, keeping this bed absolutely weed free. But the good news is, once it comes to sort of October sort of time, I can put the black fabric over it all the way over the winter until sort of early next year, when I can take it back off again, and that'll hopefully look after the plants and keep the weeds down. Right, what we'll do, let's get this finished off and we'll see how we're looking. So pretty straightforward to get this finished off. All I'm going to do is get the rake out. I'm just going to pull all this earth that I've dug out back on top here, and I find that using the rake is the easiest way to do it. It's much easier than getting the old shovel back out and trying to sort of pull it back across with the shovel. And with the rake as well, you can often get a nice finish on top of the bed. You can get it looking nice and level, and I sometimes use the back of the rake there as well, just to sort of, again, get things nice and levelled off. There we go, almost done. And that's it. So that's the new asparagus bed, pretty much finished. I've got one job left to do, and that's to finish the trench down the middle. I've saved the worst one till the last, right down the middle of the bed, which is inevitably going to be the most awkward one to dig. But anyway, one other thing to mention is I'll not get any asparagus from these crowns this year. Hopefully next year I'll get a little bit. During the summer, what will happen is not the asparagus itself, but what you call the fronds will come up, and they will grow really, really tall. So what I'll be doing at some point later on in the year is building a bit of a support system down here, just a couple of canes and some twine in between them, just to support those fronds. If it gets windy, I don't want them snapping and things like that. I want them to grow, then I want them to die back naturally by themselves, putting that energy back into the crowns to help them survive over winter. Anyway, I think that's me pretty much done for today. Thank you very much for watching, folks, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.